Common Council reorganization meeting. Clerk will call the roll.
Dobrod.
Here.
Anderson.
Present.
Jarvis. Here. Lottie.
Here.
Fowler.
Here.
Hanson.
Present.
Sedlacek.
Here.
Fernsler.
Here.
Thank you. Will please stand for the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item on the agenda this evening is the acceptance of the minutes of the last regular meeting held April 12th, 2011. The Chair will entertain a motion to approve.
So moved, Alder Anderson.
Second, Dobrod.
We have a first and a second to approve the minutes of the last regular meeting held April 12th, 2011. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Alderman
I
Dobrod.
want to talk to Emmett. Emmett? On your article, you voted it was unanimous, and I voted no. Okay?
Have to check that out.
That's on the road.
We'll have to
It's
check.
on here. The minutes are all right.
The minutes are okay?
Yep.
Okay. Wait 1 second here. Any other discussion on the minutes? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Next item is the audience portion, where we ask citizens or interested people to stop in and address the council, where you get to speak and we get to listen. Tonight we have no courageous people that ventured out into this nice spring sunny weather to come to our organizational meeting, and you're probably smarter than all of us. So thank you very much, and we hope to see you sometime soon. The next item on the agenda is the Signy Day. This is where we get up and we rotate chairs. With that, we're now recessed for a moment. Don't go away, you know.
To the side.
Good evening and welcome to the second portion of the Common Council organizational meeting for April 19th, 2011. Next item is to have a reconvene roll call. Clerk will call the roll.
Fowler.
Here.
Hanson.
Here.
Sedlacek.
Still here.
Fernsler.
Here.
Anderson.
Here.
Lottie.
Here.
Jarvis. Here. Riley.
Here.
Thank you. At this point, I'll call upon the clerk to administer the oath of office to our newly elected council members, Jack Fernsler, Jay Riley, James Fowler, and Charles Hanson. Clerk Huberty?
Okay, would those alderpersons please stand? Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Charles Riley,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and will faithfully discharge the duties of alderperson
and faithfully discharge the duties of alderperson
of the City of Plymouth
of the City of Plymouth
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations, gentlemen.
council.
Thank you.
Charles.
The first order of business of the new council just installed and its returning members is the next item on the agenda, the election of the common council. The chair hereby entertains nominations for the office of common council president. Nominations are hereby open.
Mayor Coleman,
Alderman Anderson.
I move we elect Charles Hanson.
Second, Alder Jarvis.
We have a first and a second. Do we have any other nominations? Do we have any other nominations? Do we have any other nominations? Chair hereby closes nominations for the office of council president. Next procedure is a ballot vote, unless we have a motion on the floor for something else.
Mr. Mayor,
Alderman Lottie.
I would move we cast a unanimous ballot for Charles Hanson as council president.
Second, Alder Anderson.
We have a first and a second to have a unanimous ballot cast for council president nominee Charles Hanson. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Welcome, Council President Hanson.
You ain't getting out of it that easy, Charlie.
Next item of business, a resolution of accommodation and presentation of plaque for Alderman Dobratz. The chair will entertain a motion to approve.
So move, Alder Lottie.
Second, Alder Hanson.
We have a first and a second. Is there any discussion? I would ask that the clerk read the resolution.
Whereas Doug Dobratz has served faithfully as alderman in District 2 upon his election in April 1998 to April 2000, and his election in April 2003 through April 2011. Whereas Doug Dobratz's contribution to municipal government is an indication of his pride in our community. Particularly noted is his public service on the Committee on Aging from May 1997 to April 2011, and numerous other appointments such as the Downtown Revitalization Committee, Personnel Committee, and Park Board. Whereas it is fitting and right that the city recognize Doug Dobratz for his years of service to this community. Now therefore be it resolved that the mayor and the common council on behalf of the citizens of the city of Plymouth extend to Doug Dobratz their deepest appreciation and gratitude for his dedication and service to the city of Plymouth, and that a copy of this resolution be presented to him and also be spread upon the minutes of this meeting.
Thank you, Clerk Huberty. Do we have any other further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Doug Dobratz, it's with a great sense of pleasure and appreciation that I present you with a plaque for your service to the city of Plymouth, and we hope that it gives you good memories for all the work that you've done. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, I really don't know if I should say anything at all, but I did have, it was enjoyable, I had fun, and that's part of the job, and I hope that you guys will follow through on all the things that have happened and to do it for the betterment of the city of Plymouth and keep plugging away until you get it all done. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Dobratz. Next item of business is the appointment of the weed commissioner for a one-year term. The mayor hereby appoints William Imig for a one-year term. Chair will entertain a motion to approve.
So moved, Alder Anderson.
Second, Sabacek.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Item 11, appoint city attorney, two-year term to begin May 1, 2011. The chair declares nominations open for city attorney.
Mr. Mayor.
Alderman Lottie.
I would make a motion to appoint Crystal Faber of Hoop, Newman, and Humke LLP to serve the city for a two-year term.
I'll second that.
We have a first and a second to appoint Attorney Faber from the firm of Newman and Humke for a two-year term. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor.
Alderman Lottie.
I had some question of whether we were going to do a two-year term on Crystal again, and I thought, to be fair, she came in, we were facing a lot of litigation. A lot of things were happening in the city here was going to drive our legal costs up. And I think, to be fair to the firm and to Crystal, another two-year term so we can do a cost evaluation on what it's costing the city would be the right thing to do, and that's why I figured we should appoint her for 2 years. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Clerk, Alderperson Jarvis.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Aren't we under a contract for 2 years? Or how
It
is
was
it?
a one-year
It
contract.
was a 1 year.
It was a one-year contract, and then the ordinance you follow through after that one-year contract was a two-year term for city attorney.
It was set up for a 2-year after the first partial year was completed, yeah.
Just to verify that the ordinance allows for a 2-year term of the city attorney. At the same time, the contract is expiring, so technically we should be also at a later date reaffirming that contract and extending it for a 2-year period. That could come after this meeting.
Thank you.
And the intention of that 2-year term was to have it not coincide with the mayor's term, so that there was an overriding consistency. So that's another reason it was 1 year and then 2.
And she came in at the time to fill the prior term of the city attorney.
Correct,
So she came
yeah.
in the middle of
Yeah,
of
of a term, yeah. Any other comments? Alderman Fowler? It's been a bad day.
Okay. Do we have any comparison of cost between, say, a year with Ron Damp and Crystal? Is there some way to sort out the litigation issues that went on?
Yes, we are tracking that in the clerk's office. Director Jurgis has asked the clerk's office to do that, and we are keeping track of that, and that will be used for budget purposes when we start talking about that at the Finance Personnel Committee.
So should we do that before, should we issue a contract before we know what it's costing us?
Well,
Defer to-
yeah, I guess the legal costs have been averaging about $10,000 a month if you go back, at least since I've been here, late August 2010, so it's been about $10,000 a month. The arrangement underneath the previous city attorney was that I believe he was treated as an actual employee of the city and received salary as well as health insurance. Is that correct?
Correct.
And so it was a little bit different of an arrangement than the previous city attorney. How long had he been here?
40 years.
He had been here about 40 years. So to compare the cost of someone where the city has had an arrangement with someone for 40 years compared to hiring a new attorney in 2010 is not quite an apples and apples comparison. I think it's apples and oranges. But moving forward, I think it's something that we need to talk about at the Finance and Personnel Committee. I think we need to look at the budget and reaffirm what budget number we need to budget on an annual basis for legal costs. And perhaps at the end of this 2-year term, certainly through the Finance and Personnel Committee and the Council could decide that we should issue an RFP and take proposals again. My understanding is when Attorney Fieber was originally selected that was through a partial proposal process as well in 2010. So that would be up again to potentially look at that at the end of that 2-year term.
Does the contract allow us to cut her number of meetings she attends? For instance, could we have her attend like the first meeting of the month and not the second meeting or something to reduce costs?
Yeah, there is some flexibility in that. We've already done that with the Plan Commission. If you may recall, at the end of 2010, we had that discussion, and she now only attends Plan Commission meetings upon request, special request, and she has not attended a Plan Commission meeting yet in 2011. And certainly, if the council felt that we could get the work done by her only attending one meeting per month, that could be discussed.
Alderman Lottie?
Mr. Mayor, our Director of City Service answered my question, or my comment on the situation. Thank you.
I think it's fair to say that we are reviewing it, and we're looking at options and proposals to make some adjustments as things go forward. As Director Yerga said, we had a 40-year-old contract, and we had a very good deal. And I think we appreciated that for 40 years. So now we're back to reality, and we know some of our costs are going to be higher. But we have had a lot of activity in the last year or two. Clerk Huberty?
That's what I was just going to refer to. There wasn't any way of knowing that we were going to have the home on Main Street that had to be handled, and then the fire, the burnt-out building at Kraft that had to be handled, and then the Sargento easements and agreements. That was a major project which cost a lot of money. So there just happened to be a lot of issues came forward since her contract was signed last year to begin on May 1st. So.
Alderman Fernsler.
And also, you might want to say that they, the lawyers, brought it to our attention that we were getting over what they considered was the budget and offered to take some of the slack down.
That's true.
So, I mean, this has been covered for this past year. And when we did the interviews, all the 4 or 5 lawyers that we interviewed, they were all within a ballpark. We chose this one because we thought it was going to be the best.
Alderman Lottie.
Another reason to elaborate on all the Fernsler's comments, this one also told us that they would set an office in Plymouth. The other ones didn't tell us that, and it was nice to have somebody close by that we could converse with on a daily basis if we had to, or in office hours.
Thank you. All good comments, and the director is working on some modifications which we'll be bringing forward, like he said, through the Personnel and Finance Committee. Any other comments? With that, clerk will call the roll.
Riley?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Jarvis?
Yes.
Lottie?
Yes.
Fowler?
Yes.
Hanson?
Yes.
Sedlacek?
Yes.
Fernsler?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Item 12, Mayor hereby appoints the Railroad Coordinator for the City of Plymouth as Jerry Thompson. Item 13, Council Committee Appointments. Mayor hereby makes the following appointments. The Board of Review, John Anderson and Council President Hanson. Item B, Plan Commission, Alderman Fowler. Item C, Joint Review Commission, Alderman Lottie. Item E, Downtown Revitalization Committee, Alderperson Jarvis and Alderman Fowler. And item F, Plymouth Intergenerational Coalition Liaison, Alderman Fernsler. Item 13 continues. The mayor hereby appoints council members to the following committees and respectfully asks the council to confirm the same. Item G, Finance Committee, 4 council members, 1 from each district. Alderman Fernsler, Alderman Riley, Alderman Hanson, and Alderman Fowler. Item H, Public Works Utility Committee, 4 alderpersons, 1 from each district. Alderman Anderson, Alderman Szlachek, Alderman Lottie, and Alderperson Jarvis. Item I, Committee on Aging, Alderman Hanson. Item J, Library Board, Alderman Szlachek. Item K, Park Commission, Alderman Hanson. Item L, Revolving Loan Committee, Alderman Anderson. And item M, Community TV 14 Liaison, Alderperson Jarvis. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the appointments as read.
So moved.
I'll second the motion to bring up for discussion.
We have a first and a second to approve the mayoral council appointments as indicated. Discussion?
Mayor,
Alderperson Jarvis?
I would like to point out that these appointments were given to us this afternoon, and it was past the deadline of, I think, for inclusion into the packet. And I just want to point out that everybody here has probably been guilty of bringing things the night of the meeting, but I think that we need to address this because it's a continual issue that we're getting things that we have to vote on, paperwork that I think we could take the time to digest for a couple days, and we're not being given that time. And I think we need to come up with either a policy or an ordinance change so that we can decide on what things should be. If they don't meet the Thursday deadline, then they can't be brought to the table at the time of the meeting. So, thank you.
Any other discussion? Alderman Lottie.
I would be in agreement with Alder Jarvis that the things that come up at a council meeting, we do have an ordinance that says they have to be there by Thursday at noon. And I can understand in your position, it's quite a decision to make in committee appointments, but I think that some of these appointments should be held off maybe until the meeting on the 26th.
Any other discussion? Clerk will call the roll.
Hanson,
Yes.
Jarvis,
Yes.
Szlachek,
Yes.
Lottie,
Yes.
Fernsler,
Yes.
Riley,
Yes.
Fowler,
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Item N, the mayor requests the appointment of Public Safety Committee members for, respectfully request the approval of Public Safety Committee members, Alderman Riley and Alderman Lottie. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the recommendations.
So moved.
Second, Alder Jarvis.
We have a first and a second to approve the Public Safety Committee recommendations. Any discussion? Clerk will call the roll.
Anderson?
Yes.
Riley?
Yes.
Lottie?
Yes.
Jarvis?
Yes.
Fowler?
Yes.
Fernsler?
Yes.
Sedlacek?
Yes.
Hanson?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Item 14, announce mayoral ad hoc committee appointments. Tonight, we have the Community Recreation and Facilities Study Ad hoc Committee. The chair appoints Alderman Hanson to that committee. Item 15, accept resignation of Pat Morrison and Bob Herman from the Committee on Aging. The chair will entertain a motion to accept the resignation of Pat Morrison and Bob Herman.
So moved, Alder Anderson.
Second, Sedlacek.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor, just like to point out that Bob Herman verbally resigned at the previous Committee on Aging meeting, so we did not receive a letter of resignation from Bob, but he did verbally resign at the last Committee on Aging meeting, and then there should be a letter in the packet from Pat Morrison explaining her resignation as well.
That's correct. Thank you. We do require a written statement for the record-keeping purposes, and we'll work on obtaining that. I'm sure that's not a problem. But it is one of the requirements, bookkeeping requirements, technicalities that we have. Any other comments? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Item 16, announce citizen committee appointments. The mayor hereby appoints for Joint Review Commission Bill Barbier, the Police and Fire Commission Jay Frang, and there is kind of a special exemption in there in case the question comes up. They're allowed 2 terms for Fire and Police Commission, and Jay did not serve 2 full terms. He actually filled a partial term. So he is eligible for reappointment, and just to make sure everybody understands the technical portion of that. Item C, Plan Commission. We actually have 2 vacancies due to the transition that we've had since Alderman Meyer passed away. Then we had at that time Jim Fowler was on the Plan Commission. The council subsequently approved him to sit in Harold Meyer's seat for alderperson to fill that vacancy. I moved then Mr. Fowler to Alderman Fowler's position representing the council at that point, and that left 1 citizen appointment open, which we've simply kept open for the past 2 months since we were having reorganization. Anyway, subsequent to that, we, on the chart of renewal, we do have 2 vacancies or 2 positions up for appointment tonight. One of them being the vacant appointment, and the other one, Tim Yokes. Tim also, as Director Uriga said earlier, gave me a verbal comment that he would not want to be reappointed. He is leaving the area, taking a new job, and his house is up for sale, and we certainly thank him and wish him the best of luck in his new employment, and he'll be moving out of the area. He was a great asset to the Plan Commission. So it's unusual. We have 2 appointments, little background on that, and the chair hereby appoints Jim Flanagan and Dan Fellner to 3-year terms to start on May 1st. Item 16, I guess this would be Part B. The chair hereby announces mayoral appointments requiring common council approval. and I'll run through these. Item A, Board of Review, Bill Barbier and Todd Niles for one-year terms. I'd also comment that we are looking for 2 alternate positions remain open, and we're certainly solicit participants from the community to fill the Board of Review vacancies of alternate positions, and these are important, and we do appeal to the citizens. If there's interest, they can call the director's office or the city clerk's office and get some information on that. Item B, Board of Appeals, Bill August and Dennis Schwartz, both for 3-year terms. Item C, Committee on Aging, Sandy Hendrickson, a 3-year term, and we have, of course, the 2 positions open, which we just approved their resignation a couple minutes ago, and we are looking for 2 people to fill the citizen appointments for the Committee on Aging, and those are both 1-year terms because they are unexpired terms. So those are 1-year vacancies. So you can get your feet wet for 1 year. You don't have to worry about 3 years right off the bat. We'll twist your arm as we go further down the road with you. So please consider that. Item D, Downtown Revitalization. Lisa Hurley, 3-year term. Carol O'Malley, a 3-year term. Leon Raybach, a 3-year term. And we appoint Mark Fowler, filling an unexpired 2-year term vacancy that exists on the Downtown Revitalization. Moving on, item E, Park Commission, Mark Melcher, a 5-year term. This does require a waiver from the council, and I would ask the motion include a waiver for Mark Melcher for a 5-year term, and Teresa Fellner for a 5-year term. Pardon me? I should say Hartle? Okay, then she won't yell at me. Maybe I want her to yell at me. What the heck? Okay, Teresa Hartle Fellner for a 5-year term. And last, for Public Safety, Steve Douglas for a 1-year term. The chair hereby respectfully asks council approval as read.
Mr. Mayor,
Alderman Sedlacek.
I would move that we approve the mayoral appointments with a waiver for the Mark Melcher 5-year term.
Second, Alder Jarvis.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? Alderman Lottie.
I would ask them to amend their motion to include that unfilled terms will be brought back to the council for approval.
The second
Fine.
agrees.
First and second,
Yes.
okay with?
Yes.
We're talking about the Committee on Aging, or are we talking about the,
ones that all need council approval here that have not been filled yet.
That would be the 2 alternates for the Board of Review as well.
right,
Committee on Aging.
right.
The ones in here? Right.
And that would be correct procedure, that's correct.
Thank you.
Mayor, I have one more question.
Alderperson Jarvis, yes?
Thank you. I noticed that Bill Barbier is on the Board of Review, the Joint Review Commission. I think he's also on the Mill Pond Committee. And I'm just wondering, do we have any restrictions on the number of committees a citizen can be on?
The Mill Pond Committee is an ad hoc committee, so there are no restrictions. And I would ask Clerk Huberty, I don't know of any restrictions, even if they're not ad hoc. But ad hoc are come and go as they're needed. Alderman Lottie?
He's also on the Plan Commission, right?
I believe she stated, did you state
No,
that?
I said the Mill Pond, the
And,
Review Board, and the Joint Review Commission.
Oh,
So
yes,
he's on
yeah.
the board.
Right, he's on the Plan Commission too. But there are no restrictions, yeah. It might be noted that he has unique qualities that I think are very important for the Board of Review I think that, he's uniquely qualified there. And of course, he lives on the Mill Pond, so that's an ad hoc committee, of course, so, that's different as well.
Mr. Mayor.
Alderman Lottie.
I also would commend Bill for being a citizen who steps forward for these committees. It's a rarity that we have citizens coming forward that want to sit on committees, and for some person to sit on 4 of them, you can imagine the time he's spending as a citizen of the city. Thank you.
Any other comments? Clerk Huberty. A lot of changes tonight.
Bill Barbier on the Board of Review is just a once a year,
Right.
2 hours once a year, so
That's-
that's also.
That's May 17th, 19th?
12th this
12th.
year.
And that's where citizens can, if they wish, come in and discuss their assessment value on their property. There's an open book. Is it now open, or not quite
It's
yet?
coming up next week.
Coming up next
believe
week,
the
it'll be an open book
27th.
for public review of the assessment roll. And if you have any questions, you're invited to talk with Mike Diener or in the clerk's office. Is Sherry helping with that?
She has knowledge of the
initially?
personal property, if there's questions about
Okay,
that.
yeah. But we can square you away on that. And then Mike Diener will get in touch with those people if they have questions to resolve those either ahead of time or to the technicalities required to bring it to the Board of Review. And those are very important statutory requirements that we follow very closely, and we've been very fortunate in the past on that Board of Review. Any other comments? Chair will entertain, our clerk will call the roll.
Fernsler.
Yes.
Riley.
Yes.
Fowler.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
Jarvis. Sedlacek.
Yes.
Lottie.
Yes.
Motion carried, thank you. Item 17, now we're back to regular business. Approve reserved 2010-11 alcohol beverage license application for Jacom Incorporated, doing business as P.J. Campbell's at the Depot, 114 Depot Road, contingent on inspection approval from Chief Nicholas, and approve the application for a Class B alcohol beverage grant and have the city clerk administer and pay out on such grant when qualifications have been met. I think I'll call on Clerk Huberty to define that for us, refresh our memory. This is a reserve license, which is not the same as an original license in the city of Plymouth, and this reserve license has a $10,000 price tag on it. So with that, Clerk Huberty, would you just touch on summarizing
Well,
that?
the city has all along had 10 regular or original licenses that have been issued, and there was one additional, I believe, when Sweet Basil opened up, that was the additional reserve license, and the former owner of the depot has not surrendered his license, and so that caused Mr. Campbell to have to apply for a reserve license. He did pay the $10,000 fee, plus a prorated fee for these few months that are left of this licensing period. The new applications have gone out. Mr. Campbell, if he receives this license, can then apply for the regular license that will be available upon the expiration of the one that the depot does now have. He has completed the application for the grant, the $10,000 grant. The ordinances state that I administer that, but I would like, council approval to say, yes, you agree on that, and the only stipulation is that I have to observe that he is up and running and open for business, so.
It should also be noted that he has waited a 15-day waiting period for this application.
Correct.
And as Clerk Huberty said, it's not an original at this time. That will become available on July 1, and he is eligible to apply for that original license. So it would not be a repeat of the $10,000 application process. So with that, Chair will entertain a motion.
I would so move, Mr. Mayor,
Second, Alder
grant
Anderson.
the license, to grant this license.
We have a first and a second to grant the license. Do you want to add anything to that, or should we do it in two motions for the $10,000
I would make
beverage
that- I
grant?
would make that a part of the motion, that the grant systems goes through with the original motion.
Okay, so first and second, make a motion to approve the alcohol beverage license as applied for, and approve the reserve Class B alcohol beverage grant. You want that in the amount of $10,000?
Yes, sir.
For $10,000
And
Did it-
also contingent on the,
on the ordinance, the clerk observing the,
contingent on the inspection by, approval by
right,
Chief
yeah,
Nicholas.
as read. Okay. We have a first and a second. Discussion, Alderman Lottie.
I just have a question of our clerk treasurer. Patty, if the depot license, if he's still holding that license, that's renewable in July?
Yes.
This- Now, if he pays the $500 renewable fee, can he keep that license even though he doesn't have a
Well,
facility?
he would have to apply for a license at a certain location.
Oh, okay, all right. Okay,
And-
thank you.
And if he has no location,
That's what I was getting at. I wanted to make sure that
Yeah, it expires and
It
it goes
expires.
back on the table,
Right.
but he'd have to have a location to use it
Okay.
in.
the license is issued to a location then.
correct.
Well, a person
Well,
at
to
a
a person
location.
And a
at
location
a
combined. Okay,
specific
all right.
location.
Thank you.
and-
Yeah. It's hard to twist that one.
Right, yeah, that one.
Correct.
Any other discussion?
Probably been held that long.
Clerk will call the roll.
Lottie,
Yes,
Sedlacek,
Yes.
Jarvis. Yes. Hanson.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Fowler.
Yes.
Riley.
Yes.
Bernsler.
Motion carried, thank you. Moving on, item 18, approve a 6-month, April 20th to October 20th, Class B beer alcohol beverage license application from the Sheboygan County Fair Association, 229 Fairview Drive. The Chair will entertain a motion to approve.
so move, Alder Lottie.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Item 19, approve 2010-2011 taxi driver license application as indicated, previously approved by Deputy Chief Ringo.
So move, Alder Lottie.
Second, Alder Anderson.
We have a first and a second to approve the 2010-11 taxi driver license application as indicated. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item 20, Chair entertains a motion to adjourn to 8 o'clock p.m., April 26, 2011.
So move, Alder Lottie.
Second, Alder Jarvis.
We have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? We stand adjourned. Thank you.